In the previous lesson, we did a little bit of Vector Drawing 101. Now, if you own Adobe Illustrator, or if you're a past user of programs like Freehand, which isn't around anymore, but you know what vector drawing is. It's just about drawing vector resolution independent shapes in such a way that they contribute to your design. Now go ahead and reopen, if you don't already have it open, Paths 101 PSD. I want to show you another way to do the same shapes, but not as paths, as actual shapes. And there are some features that are coming into this program that are making it almost, well, at least in a certain way, Illustrator-like. Let's come over here and pick up our pen tool, the regular pen tool right here. And then let's go up here where it says Path. Now that's where we were in the previous lesson. You can't do pixels with a pen tool. Go to Shape. This time stay in the Layers panel. Now I'm going to come over here and do a triangle again, but you might want to keep your eye over on the Layers panel when I do this. Come over and make a triangle again. Wait for the circle to come up, and there you go. Let's do a rectangle. See what it just did? It made another layer. These are shape layers. We'll fix that in a minute. Come over here, click and drag down. Click and drag up. Click and drag down. Come over here and pick up Mr. Whatever tool, the freeform, and draw something freeform. There you go. We have now 4 shape layers. If we go to Paths, you can see there is something in the Paths panel based on which layer you have selected. So although we don't need paths, at least directly to see it, for what we're doing right now, understand without the Paths panel, you couldn't save mathematical data. It's still got to be there. We just don't need it for this particular lesson. Now we can come over here and pick up our direct selection tool, and we can get into, say, this one right here. And you'll notice when I click on it, it automatically selects it. That's vector for you. We come over here and we select that one point, and we straighten it out, make it look nice and pretty. Over here, we do the same thing, except we come over into it. Let's go to the corner, or the edge, I should say. And let's do that, and let's bring it in. And we'll leave everything else alone. So we're actually drawing something that you could do in Adobe Illustrator. Now, in earlier versions of Adobe Photoshop, you didn't have quite the control we now have. And let me explain that. If we come back over here again and say select our triangle layer. Okay, it's a shape layer. We could name it triangle if you wanted, but we won't do that. If you come up here, you now have some pretty cool features. For example, the default fill was black. I don't want black. Click here. I can come in here and choose a different fill. I can come over here and put a stroke. Remember basically what a vector shape is? It's a fill and it's a stroke. And I can come over here and say I want a black stroke, or I want something else. I can change the thickness of that stroke. I can change it into a different type of stroke. I can change the width and the height, but that's not new. I have the ability to edit and work in rudimentary ways, but on a shape almost as if I'm in Adobe Illustrator. Now the difference is we are still working with raster information in a vector shape area in a sense. This is still a raster program, okay? It still lives and dies that way. But the rasterization of the object is not made until the print or the file save is done. So I could come over here and resize that thing, do anything I want to it, and it still maintains its clarity. Click on this one right over here. Now I'm using the selection tool. Change it to something else. Now you also have patterns. You don't like the ones you see here? Go right up here. Go down to Load Patterns if you want to load some other ones. Save one that maybe you've made. Let's go down to this one down here. We can go back up there to that button on Fill, and we could go into, say, maybe a gradient. Still in a vector circle. And of course, we could do the same thing if you want to do it over on this thing too. Let's do this on this one. Let's go ahead and give it a light color. And let's put a stroke on it. Maybe make it black. We'll leave the thickness alone for the moment. If I come over here we can change from a solid stroke into whatever you want. But you also have more options down here. And here's our presets again. We can align the stroke on the inside, on the center, or the outside. We can change the dashed line, and right now it's 4 and 2 with a gap. I could add a 5 with a 1, with a 4, with a 3, and create something really interesting, I suppose. If you like that dashed line, you can click Save up here and save it as one of your presets. Adobe Photoshop has a split personality. It thinks it's becoming Adobe Illustrator, but it's still retaining all the features and powers of a raster-based image editing application. That's pretty cool when you think about it, but it gives us more control.